Hello everybody and welcome to Astro Pillars Astrology. We're going to check out this total eclipse in Leo that is coming up on the 12th of this month, which is not too far off. And obviously people, I would say, from clinic have been really experiencing this eclipse already. So just quickly before I jump into this, I have doing an interview, like I said before, with Lydia Lee on Chinese astrology. We're going to talk about both our astrology books we've written, but we're also going to do a rundown on charts, and it's going to be live on my YouTube channel. So just putting that out there for people who don't know that yet. I've been announcing it on a few other videos. So if you feel so inclined, jump in on that because it's great. And we're going to do some charts for people who jump in on as well. And what other announcements have I got? I have got another one coming up because I've been invited to speak at an astrological seminar coming up in November on Chinese astrology. So I will keep you guys posted on that. This is going to be more of an online event. So this is going to be, there's going to be a number of speakers at this event. So I've been invited to speak to that, which is I'm excited about, which is going to be really cool. And I'll probably touch on, I think it's going to be more on, because I just got the email last week. I think it's going to be more touching on the year of the Yin Fire Goat, but I will have some other astrological themes to cover in regards to Chinese astrology on that. So I just wanted to say that. And let's just tap into this eclipse because, and I'll be covering briefly the 12 rising signs as well. So for everyone who knows, but I think this eclipse is going to be pretty next level, I would say. And I'd say we're already really experiencing it because, I mean, Leo rules the summer, it's fixed fire, it's fire season, and it is pretty hot up in the northern hemisphere. I'm down south, so they've been having some pretty big heat waves, which means down south here in the land of Oz, we're going to have, I would say, an extremely hot summer coming up with this Leo eclipse. But so we're looking at this Leo eclipse, which hits at 20 degrees of Leo. So Leo is a fixed fire sign, and eclipses in fixed signs generally have longer duration and will be felt powerfully, especially if the eclipse is visible in your physical location, wherever you are in the world. So this is an important thing to state. But on a collective level, right, Leo rules kings, governments, dictators, rulers, management, gold, fuel, fire, the celebrities, the arts, entertainment, rules children. Of course, the fifth house naturally has an affinity for Leo. Sport, which is connected to sport, gambling, drama, theatre, things like this. And so the energy around this eclipse, which I would say a lot of people already be feeling, because we've always got to remember, right, with eclipses, it's not just on the eclipse new moon, right, where we're just going to feel it and then it's going to disappear. Sometimes you can feel it up to a month or 2 months before, depending on where it's hitting in your birth natal chart. But, you know, in fixed fire signs, right, this effects of this eclipse will be played out over the next year or so. I can't remember the exact duration of it, but it's going to be a while. So, and fixed signs are here to stay for longer periods. So the energy at this time will build intensely and can be explosive. And because Leo rules, you know, excitement and having fun, so the crave to have a good time will most likely come up. Leo eclipses can strongly impact actually the economy. And through the square aspects on the eclipse, on the axis, for those who know astrology, it's going to be squaring Taurus and Scorpio, which rule finance. So Leo's connected to gold, it's connected to stock market. So it could be a red alert, right, for the stock markets. The stocks may swing up, or they may crash down within 30 days to 1 year after this cycle, right? So, like I was saying before, I'm down here in the southern hemisphere, so up north it's been really hot. So I'd say probably most likely, potentially, especially in Australia, there could be a very, very strong bushfire season, which we always need to be very, very mindful of down here. But I think one thing is important to emphasize is because this is a south node eclipse, which means that there's going to be a lot of releasing from the past. And the past can come to us or back to us around these eclipses as well. So we want to pay attention to, obviously, where this is falling and what house it is in our chart. And of course, with this eclipse, the sun is in rulership in Leo, and there's a stellium of planets in Leo at this time, that being Mercury, Jupiter, in connection to the sun, moon, and the south node. So there's a lot of Leo activity. And I'd say, Leo, the key word for Leo really is I will, and it relates to self, the self, it relates to selfhood, it relates to the imperial self. Its purpose really is creative self-expression. And I guess one of the main lessons we need to learn, if we have a lot of planets in Leo around, maybe even this eclipse lesson at the time, is our tolerance, right? So one of the really cool things about astrology I really love, because primarily I was trained Chinese astrologically, but I really love medical astrology because obviously I'm a practitioner of acupuncture and herbal medicine. And I have really noticed a lot of this eclipse really coming into play quite early in the last few months in terms of people's health problems. So from a medical astrological point of view, right? Leo rules the heart, the upper back, the forearms, the microcirculation, which is connected to the heart, and that's more probably of a Chinese medical expression. The radius and ulna, those bones, the eyes, the cell nucleus, and the wrists. So in the last couple of weeks, I particularly noticed, because I have a number of stroke patients in my clinic, and I've noticed a lot of blood pressure problems, a lot of people struggling with blood pressure. And this is not just my stroke patients too. This will be more so some females seeing me for menopause. I've noticed the increase, the instability in blood pressure. And this can definitely happen. Actually, I had to drive my ex-wife into hospital the other week because she had her blood pressure was absolutely off the Richter scale. So this can be an extremely unstable time for this, particularly if you have issues with this. So you need to be extremely careful around this time, and especially with even migraine headaches as well. And of course, I've got a number of stroke recovery patients. So this is really important to know because their blood pressure is already fluctuating. So because this is a very fiery hot eclipse and will make the blood pressure swing. And the fire element rules the heart, right? From a Chinese medical point of view and an astrological point of view as well, because Leo does rule the heart. So for those who have excessive heat in their constitution, really need to be careful at this time, particularly if they have any of the medical conditions I've just mentioned. So this is really no time to stress the heart out. And for another important thing to consider, right, is surgery, and if you need surgeries, because for electional surgery for the back, heart, brain, particularly because as Leo has a connection to that, avoid the in-between wave stages. So what that means is the eclipse hits on the 12th, and then the following 2.5 to 3 weeks, there's another eclipse coming up at the full moon. So this is what they call the in-between waves period. So the Earth magnetic field is very unstable, and we want to, unless obviously it's an emergency, that's different, but if we're electing dates for surgery, then we want to avoid these times. So I would also say at this point then, because you really want to avoid excessive alcohol at this time, because alcohol is very hot and heating in nature. It raises yang from a Chinese medical point of view. And I did hear of a friend of mine who had an aneurysm, who I contacted actually and did a medical horary for him. And this is what can happen around, because Leo rules the aortas and vessels in the brain as well. This is all in connection to Leo. And so this is why we want to refrain from these kind of things, particularly these kind of habits, right? Because alcohol is extremely hot energetically. Also, there can be a surge, right, in fiery issues like anger, can be tested at this time. So you want to be really mindful of the temper and tantrums at this time. And also, of course, when we think about Leo, and if we do have heart problems, then of course we need to look at the cell salt which rules this, which is obviously magnesium phosphate. And for those who aren't familiar with the cell salts in connection to particularly the sun signs of the zodiac, then I've done a whole series of this on my channel. So definitely check out the link to, which I'll have down there in the description to check out that, because I cover in the cell salt series, I cover medical astrology stuff. So it is more Chinese astrological implications as well as nutritional ones and astrological ones as well. So interestingly enough, this eclipse falls into the third decan of Leo, which is kind of like a Sag Leo energy in connection to this eclipse. And in the old mundane astrology books, they say that when they talk about this decan, it plays out through profanation of holy places, churches and sacred edifices, captivity, besieging and ransacking of towns can all play out through this eclipse. And this has already been happening around the world, particularly up in Europe and UK particularly as well, right? It's been playing out a lot on the world stage. So in connection to obviously this decan, we can break it down into the 7 of Leo, which connects to the 7 of Wands in the tarot. And the name of this card is Valor. So having the courage and bravery. This card gives us strength of mind in regards to danger. It also gives us courage and resourcefulness. Now, this card is connected to the frequency of Mars and has a Leo Sagittarius signature to it. So, and is expressed astrologically as Mars in Leo. And the Martian principle, right, is connected to, so we've got Leo and then we've got this Martian quality to it as well, which indicates, well, the Martian principle is connected to discipline, masculinity, creating discipline in matters of daily living, order, creating regularity and routine. obedience to conventions, and the strictest honesty in all human relationships are essential at this time. So, and this card also connects to the emotions of anger and hatred and jealousy. So this can be all this kind of stuff, right? There's particularly these darker kind of emotions that can come up. Being a South Node eclipse, we can have the ability to be able to let this go and be released. So this is extremely important because these emotions will come up. And this card is connected to courage, victory through courage, protection, fight, fierce competition can be connected to. Negotiation as well, but also standing up for yourself, asserting your nature, which the Martian assertion principle is. It's very assertive. And in Leo, right? Mars in Leo, Leo is about self. It's asserting yourself. It's asserting your authentic self. Why? Because Leo's connected to the heart. So fight for your own selfhood, your self-esteem, and your imperial self around this total eclipse coming up. So we'll cover the 12 rising signs, and we'll start with Aries, and Aries will be having this eclipse in the 5th house. The house of pleasure, sports, dance, theatre, romance, children, and creativity. So you can expect a huge surge in energy, or the reverse, right? It can always be flip sides with this with eclipses, because it's important to understand what's aspecting it in your chart. So these are general themes I'm talking about. But this eclipse can bring a clearing when it comes to romance, particularly because of the South Node, right? This can be an important eclipse for children or for parents, especially Leo rules children, the 5th house is children. So for parents, this is important because you can expect school, social events, or sports performances and talent opportunities can arise for your children. It can also be a time to bring attention to your children, particularly because of the South Node, right? Because the South Node can bring up issues to do with your children that may need readdressing to be let go and finalized, right? And eclipses reveal things that are hidden, so you might discover something that is hidden within your children that comes to light. Nothing sinister, but it could just be like a behavioral problem or something, some kind of issue can particularly be revealed to you, to them around this time. So disciplinary issues can arise as well as behavioral problems potentially. But this can also be a time when you feel like being entertained, going to the theatre and exploring the arts. Careful when it comes to gambling or spending money, because this eclipse may give you a strong urge to gamble. Because this is all 5th house stuff, taking risks. So caution is required when it comes to the South Node being there. Depending on the degree on your ascendant, this eclipse will make a trine with a harmonious flow. So you can feel, this eclipse trines your ascendant, from here, especially if your degree is around 18 to 20 degrees around there. So this can be, this can really energize you at this time. And I'd just say probably from a health perspective for the Aries type, and because the eclipse is in the 5th house, which rules the heart here, that if you've got blood pressure problems or you've had any of those medical issues I mentioned before, then on a cultivative level, you can take the cell salt Carliphos and Magphos that can assist you at this time to help cultivate the heart energies. Taurus rising will be having this eclipse in the 4th house, so the house of family, home, parents, ancestral roots. Property, real estates, and things like this are all highlighted. So There can be a large-scale changes to your power base, career, or home. So with the South Node, it's good to clear, create space, and let go of anything you don't need, particularly around the house. So this can be a good time for clearance around the house, decluttering, things like this. Get rid of things you don't need due to the South Node being there. And this could be a process that maybe there's a lot of changes you want to make around your home at this time. But I think anything that really, when you do that kind of clearing within the home environment and things like this, it clears your inner landscape, which is really important. So the changes that you will make around this will support your career. As the North Node has shifted into the Aquarius in the 10th house, right? So your North Nodal axis is shifted to the 10th house in opposition to the eclipse, which can actually be a very favorable period for a strong career growth. If you're buying a property or house at this stage, make sure you check your foundations, the land, for leaks and things like this, and toxins or hidden potential problems that are potentially there, right? Because remember, eclipses reveal things that are hidden. So you want to do your digging. Probably one of the best things to do, actually, if you are investing in property and things like this, before you buy, get a horror astrology chart done. Because what's that? If people don't know what that is, that's question and answer astrology. So you can ask a question, what is the condition of the house, before you buy it, and the chart will let you know. That's really extremely valuable information, because it's one of the major purchases you're going to make in your lifetime. So you want to do your homework. But also for the Taurus rising types, this is the parental access that's going on with this eclipse. So your parents or elderly people within your family may require extra attention at this time and need support. So something to bear in mind as well. We have Gemini rising. We'll be having this eclipse in the 3rd house. So this is going to be a mental one for you guys. This is the arena that connects to communication, writing, siblings, close contacts, self-development and education, as well as short journeys. So the 3rd house does rule the mind, and there can be big changes in the way you think. So this eclipse can stimulate you to make changes in the way of your thinking. So it can be a time of letting go of thinking patterns that no longer serve you. It's a good time to seek support from mental fatigue, depression, or anxiety, if that's what you've been dealing with. And of course, Mag-Phos, like I mentioned, in the Aries rising sign, or Mag-Phos generally for a Leo kind of, particularly for anxiety and depression, can be quite good, especially for angst, in combination actually with Kali-Phos to calm the nervous system. They're probably the 2 key salts you want to cultivate if you're having problems with that. There can be breakthroughs in communications at this time, as the ruler of Mercury in your chart is currently transiting the 3rd house. I would just say for you guys, particularly if you're working on things, because with eclipses there can be outages and power outages, and particularly because yours falls into the 3rd house, then you want to make sure you back up your computer, your data, as there's potential for outages around this time. There always are, if you guys have been following the patterns of eclipses. And you know, if you have been doing a lot of writing or completing some kind of writing project, such as a book, well, the North Node in the opposition to this eclipse coming up can be a chance to get things publicized, because that's the house of publications. But I would just say for you guys, this can be extremely, you know, depending on what's aspecting it, but you just want to take care of your mental body at this time. treatments are always good. Work on the body. That being rolfing, massage, things like this. The body's the shadow of the psyche. So anything that's really affecting your mind, just get rooted back into your body. Cancer rising will be having this eclipse in the second house. So this is the money arena. So expenditure may surge, or there is greater demand on your money at this time. So shifts in money and self-value are the key themes for you guys for this eclipse, because the second house rules self-value, how we value ourselves. This is one of the houses strongly connected to self-esteem. And with the South Node in the second house, sometimes our earning powers are reduced at this time. But the positive of this is, if that's the case, then the flip side is in the opposite end of the spectrum. We have the North Node in the opposite house, which can assist us, our work in favor. So if we need, financial assistance, it can work in our favor in order to help us if we're being a little, if we've lost a bit of money, or our earning powers have become more deficient at this time. I'd say also do not neglect diet, as the second house does rule food, because it does have a Taurian signature to it. So make sure you're receiving the right nutrition, particularly with the South Node there. And also, I'd say from a medical point of view, it's a very good time, South Node, that you need to watch the thyroid function as well. Even though there's eclipse in Leo, but certain houses are connected always to certain signs, which is a sign of Taurus. So I would pay attention to that as well. But it's a very good time under this eclipse to evaluate your own self-worth and check whether your values around self-esteem are leveling up at this time. It can be a way of checking in on that. So pay attention to the heart space. It's really important as well at this time, because that in turn will help connect with you and how you value yourself. Leo rising will be having this eclipse in the first house. So if your degree is around your ascendant is 18 to 20 degrees, then you're going to feel this eclipse quite physically in your physical body. With the South Node placed in the first house, this can be actually quite tiring, because the South Node does rule the first house does rule the physical body, but having the South Node there can be quite draining. So avoid crowds or loud noises, because this will help lessen the pranic leaks that we can kind of get from the South Node in the first house. Pay attention to what is draining your your astral sensitivity. So your astral sensitivity, meaning your emotional body, could be on the increase at this time, which can make you extra sensitive and more drained. So there can be a very strong emphasis on the self at this time, because the self is, the first house is all about that, right? And Leo is one of the primarily signs of the self. So it's going to be even more emphasized for you guys. The North Node in the 7th house can indicate it can be positive for acquiring potential clients and advisors and consultants at this time. I'd say this is not a time of leadership or authority and increased responsibilities at this time. But over the next year, there will be a strong identity reset for you, which will change your appearance and outlook on the world. Virgo rising will be having this eclipse in the 12th house. So this is a big psychological kind of eclipse, where psychological challenges are enhanced and hidden unconscious patterns can surface at this time to be ready to let go of. And nothing like an eclipse in the 12th house to reveal something that's hidden, because eclipses in essence do reveal things that are hidden within that arena that is playing out, which is a 12th house. So you may feel psychically and emotionally sensitive and receive messages in your sleep at this time. Memories of the past can easily be accessed at this time. Workaholics need to let go and rest and get as much healing as they possibly can. This can be a time of getting out of isolation and creating better routines in your daily life in connection into the opposite end of the spectrum with the 6th house. The 12th house can keep us quite isolated, confined, and not want to go out into the world and see people. But the opposite end of the spectrum is really favorable for you. The North Node in the 6th indicates favorability for employment. So if you're unemployed, it can be a positive time to really put yourself out there for work. I would say opportunities are definitely going to come your way as the North Node's transiting there. But it's a positive sign, a positive time too for exercise, diets, and health in general. But mainly watch your psychological health. But this can be a very, very interesting eclipse for you guys, and an important one in terms of connecting not only to your own unconscious patterns, but you can get a lot of downloads about your own inner life at this time, which can reveal a lot. So dream journals and things like this are really important, and your dream life may really, really get enhanced around this time. Libra rising will be having this eclipse in the 11th house, so friends from the past can come back during this eclipse. Old friendship groups and social circles that have outlived their time will need to kind of be let go of. There can be also karmic debts paid through volunteer work as well, because the 11th house can be around that. So people are putting themselves out there, could be paying off certain karmic debts. And we've got to also remember too, Saturn's retrograde at the moment as well. So what goes around comes around. That's the time of karma, and a good time to pay something off. Company affiliations do not benefit you at this time, because the 11th house can be all about that. The 5th house in opposition to the 11th favors children and birth at this time. There can be gains through performance, acting, sports, and arts. For those who have children, this can be a favorable time, a really favorable time to spend with them, as the North Node is transiting the 5th house. And this can definitely be a positive for your love life due to the connection to romance in the 5th house. And closer friendships can emerge under this eclipse as well. But I would definitely say it is a time of shedding and letting going of old social circles that have just outlived their time. And it can be a time of forming new connections over the next year. Scorpio rising will be having this eclipse in the 10th house, so professional shifts could be taking place. There can be changes with work, changes at work with bosses and authority figures. This eclipse will most likely arouse career change, or perhaps there's a new role for you to be played out. You may be feeling so ambitious at this time. Your North Node, it can definitely strengthen the ambition in this time, and particularly with Leo up there, you probably want to be out there and perform. Actually, this is a different note, but my son has a Scorpio rising, and he's really into the performing arts. And under this eclipse, he's got all of a sudden he's got these big performing roles that are all playing out in the month of August around this eclipse, which is quite interesting. But it can definitely amp up your ambition at this time. But the North Node in the opposite houses, and the 4th house, is also very favorable for obtaining property and estates as well. So Pluto, funnily enough, is in which is your second chart ruler, being a Scorpio rising. The first one's Mars, then Pluto. But I was looking at this too, that when Pluto's in the fourth in opposition to Mercury in the 10th, it shows there can be a positive breakthrough in some way when it comes through to with your career as well. So there's a lot of positive changes going on there which will play out over the next year. So the Sagittarius rising, will be having this eclipse in the 9th house. So there'll be big shifts in your worldview at this time. Your mental life will be strongly affected during this eclipse. This is another one where travel may be on the cards as well as higher education. However, due to the South Node in the 9th house, you may feel you're wasting time and energy, especially if you're doing some kind of conventional education, like going to university and things like this. It can really not work in your favor, particularly with the South Node going through there. But I would say with the eclipse coming up in this house, right, because the 9th house rules the higher mind, and there could be other philosophical, old philosophies maybe you want to let go of, and then something may get revealed to you around a philosophical subject that will potentially, excuse me, change your views about the world. So I would just say it's not really a good time to enroll in higher education. However, if you go to the opposite end of the spectrum, which is the North Node in the 3rd house, it's an excellent time to focus on self-education, development, writing, speaking, reading, and intellectual development. Capricorn rising will be having this eclipse in the 8th house. So this is going to be a deep one for you guys, as this can indicate deep transformations on a psychological level. And there can also be big transformations around intimacy, because this is the house of connection to a partner as well. It goes to 7th to the 8th. Houses are connected, but mainly the 8th house when it comes to intimacy and connections on that level. So something that is hidden will get revealed at this time, right? So this could be something to do with occultism, because the 8th house rules occult knowledge, hidden knowledge. So all of a sudden you might get an interest in these kind of subjects, the hidden side of things that a lot of people aren't privy to know about, which is what occult means. You could also be dealing with deaths, that being physical and psychological, right? Because this is the house of that. I'm not saying anyone's going to die, but there could be people around you have to deal with death at this particular time. And there could be psychological deaths with the South Node being here as well, right? So, you know, this is another thing to consider, right? Also, your earning powers are enhanced as the North Node's going into your 2nd house, so you may have a chance to pay off old debts in connection to that 8th house. On the flip side, money could be drained from your partner at this time. So keep track of what they're doing so they don't blow it all on the stock market and things like this. But also, another thing to consider for you guys is your libido can wane as the South Node's transiting your 8th house. And one thing which a lot of people really don't know or pay really attention to is your libido is your immune system. And from a medical perspective, this is very important to keep libido functioning. And there's obviously many ways you can channel that, but when your libido really starts to wane and decline, you can be on the road to a chronic illness. So I'd throw that one in as a practitioner. There could also be inheritance possible for you guys at this time. Aquarius rising will be having this eclipse in the 7th house. So you guys have made changes to yourself from the last new moon in Aquarius, which happened in Feb, from the last eclipse, which was in your 1st house. Now this eclipse is hitting your 7th. So you're going to notice changes that will be around others. So previously you made changes to yourself. Now you're going to be noticing changes with other people around you. That could be partners, maybe weaker at this time. There could be, this could manifest as illness or unemployment or absence or releasing and letting go of something significant, right? There might be something significant about your partner or a partner that you just need to let go of. But you're usually, when things are like this, from the past, right, you've been the stronger one earlier in the year, and now you're going to see this. You may perceive people around you in close relationships, and this can be business colleagues as well, that tend to be just on the weaker side here. So, and I would also say with the South Node going through the 7th, it's probably not a good time for acquiring business partners or getting married. You may at this time have to kind of pay off karmic debt through supporting others. There can be unfinished business that can arise from the past partners, or partners from the past may return. So strap yourselves in for that one. Your energy may be high at this time, and you will find yourself the strong one in relationships. So this is what I'm trying to say before. So your energy is probably going to be quite upbeat compared to people you're close to. So you may benefit working solo and following your own course, and generally find you're the stronger one in relationships at this time under this eclipse. We have Pisces rising. We'll be having this eclipse in the 6th house. So there may be health sensitivity or fatiguing influence at this time. Especially for you guys in this house, pay attention to blood pressure, heart, upper back, pulse rhythm, and things like this, as this is the house of ill health, right? I always throw in pulse rhythm because I'm a Chinese med practitioner. We do pulse diagnosis, so we always pay attention to this. But if you're in good health, you don't need to worry about issues of the above, right? But for those who aren't, you're going to have to pay attention to it. But this is a really positive eclipse for spiritual work, psychological work, resting, psychic development, sleep, and retreating. And there can be great leaps in spiritual evolution, and understanding can happen for you guys at this time, as the North Node's transiting the 12th. So under this eclipse, you may feel you're more drained in your work environment, so it may be a good time to change jobs, or there can be changes in your pet's health as well, because remember the 6th house is the house of pets. So look after your pets. So if unemployment's experienced for some of you guys, then there can be, just make sure, I would just say, if that's the case, make sure you follow the North Node transit through the 12th house. And what I mean by that is do some deep soul searching to find what you need to be doing to express your authentic self, being Leo, right? That because you want to find work that supports your inner life. That's the main thing you want to watch out for. So that's my little take on the eclipse. And we're going to be doing another video. I still haven't done my unaspected Venus video, which I'm going to be doing. And I'm looking to get a guest speaker on about the planet Venus, because I really want to do some deeper digging into that. And stay tuned, and thanks for listening, and we'll be back shortly.